Hello students, welcome to my channel. In this operating system tutorial, today we will discuss what introduction to operating system. As you all of you know that operating system is an important chapter for your BTech semester examination. So let's start the operating system tutorial. So before starting, I want to introduce myself. Myself Niladri Shekhar Paul. I am working as an assistant professor in Computer Science and Engineering Department at Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. So after watching this video, you will learn the following things. You will learn what is the definition of operating system, what are the examples of operating systems, what are the features of operating systems, what are the objectives of operating system, what are the functions of operating system. So let's start. Now, what is operating system? Operating system basically acts as an interface connecting a computer user with the hardware of the computer. Okay, so an operating system falls under the category of system software. As all of we know that there are two types of software. One is system software, one and another one is utility software. And this operating system comes under the system software and its operating system performs the following operations. Number one is file management. Now, what is file management? File management means lots of files are exist in the computer system. Okay, in our computer. So that management is handled by the operating system. Next one is memory handling. Memory handling is a very essential and vital thing. Memory handling is operated by this also operated by this operating system. Next one is process management. A computer can run more than one process at a time. So this is the very vital and crucial thing. So to run our computer smoothly, multi-programming process is very necessary. That means at a time we can run one or two or three processes. Okay. So all of these process managements are managed by operating system. Next one is handling the input output. Handling the input output means like input output devices like keyboard, mouse, output printers, all are handled by operating system. And last one is governing and managing the peripheral devices like disk drives, printer, etc. As you know, at first we have to install the operating system on our machine first. Okay, this is the system software. Upon this system software, we have to install all the utility software. Okay, without installing the operating system, we cannot able to run the system utility software. So to run different devices like printers or other things like VLC player or any other audio video players, this type of utility software runs over the system software. System software is very crucial. Okay. So what are the examples of operating systems? As we know, Windows, Linux, these are all the examples of operating systems. Okay. So next come, what are the features of an operating system? First one is memory management. As I told before, memory management is a very crucial thing. In our computer, there are two types of memory. One is secondary memory and another one is primary memory. As you know, primary memory is RAM and secondary memory is our hard disk. Actually, all the programs reside in the secondary memory, and when we want to run any program, it comes on the main memory. So the program runs on main memory and the program resides in the secondary memory. All these type of memory managements are handled by the operating system. Next come processor managing. Processor managing means there may be multiple processes runs at the same time. Suppose when I am writing something in a word, I can same time I can hear a song. Okay, I can listen a song. So these all multiple processes are managed by operating system. In operating system, any type of operating system like Windows or Linux. Okay, we can do multiple things at the same time simultaneously. This comes all under process managing. Next one is device managing. As we know, without installing operating system, we cannot install any type of external devices. External devices like printer or any type of hardware like webcam, any other thing, any other devices we cannot able to run it without install the operating system. Okay. Next come file handling. All types of file handled by the operating system. Okay. So operating systems done this file handling very much efficiently. Next one is security handling. As you know, there are Windows firewall option. Okay. So this type of securities to protect your computer from outside. These are also handled by operating system. Next one is system performance controlling. As you know, in our daily life, we have to run multiple programs at the same time. So this becomes our processor more junk, okay, and it becomes so clumsy. So operating system also maintains the system performance, okay, to make all the performance run smoothly. Next one is job accounting and handling. In operating system, we can easily handle all types of job efficiently. Okay, we can accounting also all type which work we want to do and when we want to do and after which job we will do which job. Okay, so all types of job accountings are handled in operating system. And next one is error detecting and handling. These are the very crucial and important thing. All types of errors that arises during our different doing different types of things, okay, different types of processes, all are handled by the operating system. Next come what are the objectives of operating systems, okay. So what are the objectives? First one is efficiency. Efficiency means it provides the computer system resources with efficiency and in easy to use format. So that means that there may be lots of resources in our computer system and all resides in the secondary memory. Like we have maybe some documents or some audio file or some video files. So all of these things are efficiently operated by the operating system. Next come convenience. Okay, so what is convenience? It makes a computer more suitable to use. Okay, so operating system makes our computer more suitable position to use it. Next one is ability to develop. It should be built in such a way that it permits the efficient developments, testing, and installation of new system functions without interfering the services with services. As you know that we can easily install our new softwares in the operating system. So these are the objectives of operating systems. Next come what are the functions of operating system. Number one and most crucial is it boots the computer. As you know, without installing the operating system, you cannot boot your computer. Okay. The next one is it performs basic computer tasks like managing the various peripheral devices like mic, mouse, keyboard. As you know, without installing the operating systems, our mouse or keyboard, we cannot use them. Okay. And the third one is it provides a user interface, that is a command line, a graphical interface, etc. Okay. So as you know that after installing the operating system, it provides us a GUI, that means graphical user interface. Next one is it handles system resources such as computer's memory and sharing of the central processing unit time by various applications or peripheral devices. As you know that computers memory have two types of, one is secondary memory and the next one is primary memory, and all these are all the documents, all the our processes are included in this primary memory. At first computer programs resides in the main memory, and from this main secondary memory the program comes to the main memory, and CPU executes these programs. Okay, so all these things are handled by the operating system. Next come error handling is done by the operating systems. Okay, so error handling is done by the operating system. It takes preventive measures whenever required to avoid errors. So there may be many situations comes when we have many types of errors occurs during doing something. So all these things are controlled by the operating system. So these are all the important functions that the operating systems perform. Okay. So thank you students. These are all about introduction to operating systems. If you want to get any other videos or anything, you can please right click on the subscribe button in your right hand side. Okay, you will get all the details of our videos there. Okay, so thank you students. You can contact me also at Facebook. Okay, so please like us at Facebook and please subscribe my channel at YouTube. Thank you students. Dear students, welcome to my channel. Okay, so in our data structure and algorithm tutorial, today's topic is algorithm. Okay, so let's start. Before starting, I want to introduce myself. Myself, Niladri Shekhar Pal. I am working as an assistant professor at Computer Science and Engineering Department at Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management. So at first, what is algorithm? Algorithm basically is a detailed step-by-step method for solving a problem by using a computer. Okay, so it is a step-by-step process. Next, a computer algorithm is a detailed step-by-step method for solving a problem by using a computer. An algorithm is a sequence of unambiguous instructions for solving a problem in a finite amount time. So here the finite amount time, this is a very vital word. Okay, so the algorithm must be completed within a specific time. It cannot be run for an unlimited time. Okay, so this is a very important word. Okay, this is finite amount of time. Next, an algorithm is any well-defined computational procedure that takes collection of elements as input and produces a collection of elements as an output. So algorithm takes input and produces output. Okay, so as you can see in my picture, there are input. Okay, so input is going to the algorithm, or algorithm basically contains some rules. Okay, and from that algorithm we will get some output. So as we can say that input is going to the algorithm and that algorithm produces an output. Okay, next, from the data structure point of view, following are some important categories of algorithm. First one is search. Suppose there are lots of data. Okay, we have to find out a particular element. Okay, so this is a very vital task. So searching is an important part. Okay, next one is sort. Okay, suppose we have 1 lakh data. Okay, we have to get it in ascending or descending order. Okay, that comes under sort. Next one is insert. Insert means somewhere we have 1,000 data and we want to add some new data. Okay, that comes under insert. Next one is update. Suppose the address of my location has been changed. Okay, so that is the update operation. Next one is delete. Suppose someone has leave the job from our company, so that will the delete operation will work. Okay, now check what are the characteristics of an algorithm. First one is well-defined inputs. So to execute an algorithm, we have to give a good well-defined inputs, and using that input, algorithm will produces an output. So the inputs must be well-defined. And the next one is clear and unambiguous. That means algorithm must be clear and unambiguous. Okay, so it must be properly understandable. Okay, next one is finiteness. As I have told before, that it must be completed within a specific time period. It cannot run for unlimited time. Next one is feasible. Okay, so it must be, obviously it must be feasible. Next one is well defined outputs. As we have understand that the algorithm must require some inputs and it produces some well defined outputs. Next one is language independent. As you know, algorithm can be written in any communication language. Just mention, I am mentioning again, that is the communication language. Okay, so it may be in English or Bengali or Hindi or any other human communication language. Okay, and using this algorithm so that people can understand. Okay, next one, what are the good qualities of a good algorithm? So what are the things you can expect in an algorithm to make it a good one? Number one, input and output should be defined precisely. That means input and output must be defined in a proper way. Next one is each step in the algorithm should be clear and ambiguous. That means each and every step of an algorithm must be clear and we can anybody can understand reading it. Next one is algorithm should be most effective among many different ways to solve a problem. That means an algorithm should be written in such a way that anybody can solve in different programming languages. Okay. Next one is algorithm should not have a computer code. Instead, the algorithm should be written in such a way that it can be used in different programming language. As I told before, that algorithm must be written in any communication, human communication language, just English, Bengali, Hindi, and any other, but not in any programming language. Suppose I don't know C, okay, but I know Java. So using that, if the algorithm is written in C language, I am not able to convert it in Java. So if it is written in English language, I can easily convert that algorithm into Java code. Okay, so it must be written in any communication, human communication language, not in any programming languages. Next one, an algorithm is said to be efficient and fast if it takes less time to execute and consume less memory space. As I have told, there are data structure basically works on many datas and the datas are very rich and very important. So we have to take that the time execute to do some different operations like insert, delete, search, and any other operations. Okay, so we have to check that whether it will take less amount of time to execute. Okay, and another important is consumes less space. That means the as you know that memory is very much important, as memory required more memory required more money. So we have to see that whether the algorithm takes less space to execute. Okay, so it will less our money. Next one is the performance of algorithm is measured on the basis of following properties. What are the properties? First one is time complexity. Second one is space complexity. Now, what is time complexity? As I told, time complexity is basically a way to represent the amount of time required by the program to run till its completion. Okay, so a program, the time required to execute a program from its beginning. Okay, that is called the time complexity of a program. It's generally a good practice to try to keep the time required minimum so that our algorithm completes its execution in the minimum time possible. As we will definitely try to make it less, whether it is take less amount of time. Okay, next one is space complexity. It is basically the time space required by the algorithm during the course of its execution. That means how much of amount space is required to execute that program. Amount means it can be required for storing data, storing instructions, and any other. So space complexity must be taken seriously for multi-user system and in situations where limited memory is available. Okay, as I have told before, that memory is very much crucial as it takes money to purchase memory. Okay, so an algorithm generally requires space for the following purposes. So why we require this space? As I told, instruction space. That means the total amount of instruction. There may be 10 or 12 or 15 instructions, so that must be stored in somewhere in the computer memory. Okay, so if we have less number of instructions, we have less number of memory spaces available. Next one is data space. Data spaces means the data, as you know that to run an algorithm we need few number of inputs. Okay, and using that input an algorithm produces some output. So it is inputs and output are data values, and these must be stored in somewhere in the computer memory. Okay, so for that purpose the spaces are required. Next one is environmental space. It is the space required to store the environmental information needed to the resume of the suspended function. Okay, so next is we'll do some algorithm. Okay, so let's do some algorithm. Okay, so I am opening a notepad here. Okay, so just I'm just opening. So first we will do an algorithm. Okay, first we will do an algorithm to add two numbers entered by the users. Okay, so what is the algorithm? Algorithm is algorithm to add two numbers entered by the user. Okay, so this is the, so I'm just making the font some larger, that is 28 will be fine enough. So this is the algorithm to add two numbers entered by the users. Okay, so I am now just doing that algorithm. Just step 1, this is at first we will take the input values. Okay, so this is the start one. Next in step 2 we will declare variable. Okay, so add two numbers, we require basically three variables. One is two variables for two numbers, and one is for the output. Okay, so declare variable num1, num2, and the result one. Okay, as you can see I am writing just an English language. Okay, next one is step 3. Step 3 is basically add, or we will just not take, will input. Okay, input the values, input the values of num1 and num2. Okay, next in step 4. Okay, in step 4 what we will do, we will display, we will add the, okay, so add num1 and num2. Okay, in next step 5 what we will do, in next step 5 we will store the sum of num1 and num2 at the result variable. Okay, we will store it at the result variable. And in step 6 what we will do, we will print the result variable. And step 7 is end. Okay, so this is a algorithm to add two numbers. You can see that in step 1 we have just started the algorithm. In this next step 2 we have declared the variable, as we are doing addition of two numbers, so we will take three inputs, as 2 into num1 for one input, num2 for one input, one another number, and the result is for storing the summation. Next we have taken the input values of num1 and num2. Next we add num1 and num2. Next we stored the addition of num1 and num2 at the result variable. And in step 7 we print the result variable, and in step 7 this is the end. So this is how we just write algorithm. I am using just a simple English language here. Okay, so this is about algorithm. Okay, next, in the next tutorial we will discuss more about data structure. Okay, So you can see the bell icon in the right hand side of your screen. I'm requesting you to subscribe at my channel, or you can go to the facebook.com/digital classroom at Niladripal and like my Facebook page, or you can call me at my number, or you can email me. Okay, so students, this is all about your data structure. In our next class we will discuss more. Thank you.